Golf Smarter number 703 is brought to you by Autoslash.com, who can help you find the lowest rate possible for your next car rental. 60% of all golfers are over 50, yet the easiest swing from Brian Sparks can help every golfer improve.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Brian.
Good afternoon, Fred. Nice to speak to you.
And thank you very much. Where am I speaking to you? Where are you right now?
I'm in England. I'm at home, and I've got a lovely apartment overlooking the sea on the beach at a place called Westgate-on-Sea, about an hour and a half east of London.
I see. So. And can you see the ocean? Can you see the sea, or is it fogged in?
No, I'm sitting here on a beautiful late afternoon overlooking the beach and the sea, and it's fantastic.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, you come to Golf Smarter by a referral. A listener had seen your YouTube channel, Darren Bailey, and I'm always asking for suggestions. Darren, thank you so much for asking to hear more about what Brian is doing. And I find it fascinating what you're doing as well, because you are kind of focused on senior golfers. And I even heard you mention at one point that you read a statistic about the number of golfers and their ages.
Yeah, quite interesting. I came across one study in America, and I think it was 2016, and the percentage of golfers over 50 was amazingly high. But the statistic that really hit me was that only 5% of golfers are under 30 years old. So there were 14% over 75 or something. It's just, and globally, I believe that it's 60% are over 50. So,
interesting. So that's where your market is. So that's where your focus goes.
I suppose I ought to explain that I put my first video on YouTube in 2011, and I was a bit brave. I'd called it simply Easiest Swinging Golf. And I totally believe that that's the case. It's the physically easiest way of swinging a golf club for the human body, but it's the easiest swing for everybody. But what happened over the years is that I get a huge number of emails, and 99% of them even would be from senior golfers. Because they found that what I do is particularly valid to them, and because I've got 9 licensed coaches now around the world, and they all get the same sort of messages, and people are just so delighted, and they're having fun again at 70 or 75 years old, or whatever it might be, and they're able to come off a golf course less tired. They have less aches and pains. They can play with some of the injuries that we get as we get older, like a new knee or a new hip. And they're extending their golfing lives. So this particular population of golfers are both very rewarding to help, but also they're very grateful, and thus they tend to let us know. And I've even had handwritten letters from people. So it's just been a marvelous thing. So we've decided to focus more on senior golfers, because as part of my research, I really don't know how it is with the US PGA, but the British PGA have a 3-year diploma course now, and they spend no time at all on the topic of coaching seniors. So, and the other part of my research was looking for golf books about golf for seniors, and I found only one published in the last 20 years. So it just seemed that this is a population that aren't really being served by the establishment. So I decided this is, after a lot of discussion with my coaches, we decided that we would become specialists for senior golfers.
Brilliant.
And it's working very, very well. So
yeah, that's brilliant. Very, very good way of doing your market research and conclusions. Yeah, and young people under 30 not playing golf, they're not looking for easy swings. They're looking for hard, powerful swings.
They are looking for the X factor and the coil and everything that you see that's hurting players on the tour.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, it's misguided. I think that we've completely lost our way. And one of my great influences is Bobby Jones. I think he was not only a fantastic golfer, but I think that he had an ethos about the love of the game. He didn't play it for money. But when you read so much about him, he has so many marvelous things to say that are as important today as they would have been in the days that he wrote them. And if I could give you just one little example,
please.
He was asked one particular time by somebody about a particular shot and said, "Oh, is this shot all in the hands and wrists?" And he said, "No, it's not all in the hands, not all in the wrists, it's not all in the legs, it's not all in the shoulders." He said, "The whole man is involved." And I thought, what a wonderful sentiment, that the golf swing incorporates every part of your body. So every part of your body should move. And I think it's a great concept, because modern teaching has dissected the golf swing into many different parts, and you have to control every part of your body in every part of the swing in a certain manner. Wow, that's just become so complicated, and certainly not adapted to people who play once a week and hardly ever practice. So
now I got to
Bobby
make
Jones
sure
to me is a god.
Yeah, well, I got to make sure you said the whole man is involved, because they can't say that today.
Well, the whole
body is involved.
I'm quoting his book, because of course in those days he was allowed to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that. The whole man, or the whole woman, or the whole boy, or the
whole
the
body.
Whole person's,
Let's just keep it at the body.
Involved.
Yeah, and
okay.
that's so true. But it's something that from so many levels of golfers, you don't see the whole body involved. Whether their hips are locked in place, or they're just their arms, or so many things that you can see that I'm sure that you can pick up very quickly and know, go right to the root cause of the problem.
Yeah, well, just a little bit of information on me for your listeners. That is that I have actually been playing golf since I was 15 years old. I started in 1966, and I turned pro the following year. So I've actually been a golf pro. In November, I'll have been a golf pro for 52 years.
Wow.
I can look at a golf swing very quickly and see what's going on, see what the dynamics of their movements are. And so often they've been taught to not move certain parts of their body, which means that the other parts have got to work twice as hard. And you get this sort of awkward lunge at the golf ball as opposed to a nice smooth swing. So my coaches are recognized by those people who come into contact with us for helping them really swing the club. And it's effortless, and it's as powerful. I believe it's actually more powerful because you're using your whole body and not just anchoring some parts and us having to do all the work with the rest of it. So it's a different concept. But,
so beyond the line of the whole body's involved, is there other things that you can take from Bobby Jones' swing that you were able to incorporate it so it makes life easier for golfers, senior golfers?
Yeah, well, I'll give you another quote of his. He was reported as saying that, in his opinion, only one golfer in 2000 actually turns their hips enough in the backswing.
Whoa.
So, and if you look at Bobby Jones, he turned his hips 90 degrees. His left heel, his left heel came off the ground hugely as his whole body turned, and his left knee would rotate and come across to the right, which made the whole thing easy. And if you're asking somebody who is 50 plus to not move their legs, not let their left heel come off the ground for a right-handed golfer, and coil the upper body against the static lower body, they're not going to achieve a full turn of the shoulders, and it's going to damage their body in the process. Mm-hmm. So it's just ridiculous. So Bobby Jones, there's so much that Bobby Jones did that would suit the average golfer. But then we've become very sophisticated and highly technical in the way we deliver golf swing instruction. And I'm afraid to the detriment of a lot of golfers. Mm-hmm. And the people who either read my book, and I'll talk a little bit more about my book in a moment, they might read my book, they might discover me through YouTube, or via some of my coaches who are also active on YouTube. And then they they look at it. People look at my video. I believe that you've got the link and you'll be able to share that with your followers.
Absolutely. And why don't you just say what the YouTube link is?
If you go to YouTube and you either put in Easier Swing in Golf or Brian Sparks.
Okay, Easiest Swing in Golf or Brian Sparks.
Yeah, and the original video went out in 2011. It's rather a grainy old. It's not a brilliant video. It's had 600,000 hits now, so it's done a job. And people look at it and mostly stare at it in disbelief and think it's crazy. But then they watch a little bit longer and they start saying to themselves, "Well, actually, that looks a bit crazy and most unusual, but actually, I think I could do that. That actually looks quite simple." And then they might, some of them have a go and they like it, and then they buy my book and they get a bit more meat on the bone, and that's why then a while later they put a review on YouTube or they put a review on Amazon, because you can get my book on Amazon. My book, by the way, is called Positive Impact Golf, which was the name of my coaching business originally. But then it changed last year. We changed to Easier Swing purely because that's what people are looking for. And so people didn't really understand what positive impact golf meant. So rather than explain what it is, we changed the brand, and that's been very, very successful. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's all about making the golf swing a pleasure, to make it enjoyable again, but to make it effective. Because a lot of people are out there working very hard on their mechanics and their positions, and the whole thing is just getting too difficult for them.
Right.
So,
Brian, listen, we're gonna take a short time out here because this episode of the Golf Smarter podcast is brought to you by Autoslash.com. Autoslash is a booking service that can save you an average of 30% the next time you rent a car for business or pleasure. It's a simple process, but it requires a bit of your attention to get the greatest savings. All you need to do, like you would do anytime you rent a car, is find the car that you want, book it, and then head over to Autoslash.com on your favorite browser. And after filling out your profile, you let them know what car you've booked and from where, what agency. You also want to include any and all memberships that you have that could be used to get you additional discounts, like Costco, AAA, or airline points programs. Then Autoslash will review every car rental site every day, many times a day, to get you that car at a lower price. The car rental business is not static. It fluctuates a lot on a daily basis. Actually, let's go back to Jonathan Weinberg, CEO of Autoslash, on what you're dealing with car rental companies.
We started testing it, and I actually thought the tests were wrong at first. I thought that the software that we'd built to test it was giving incorrect results because the prices were all over the place. But what it actually turned out in the end was that there was nothing wrong with the software that we built. It turned out that rental car pricing was extremely volatile. You could have, a week-long rental that could be $350 one day, and then the next day it drops to $280, and then the day after that it drops to $210, and then next week it goes up to $375 again. It's just impossible to predict. So I said to myself, well, if prices are jumping around all over the place, then anytime there's a better deal that comes along, customers can just rebook and lock in that lower price. And that's exactly what we built. We built a system that could go and track these prices over time and help consumers get a better deal.
Sure, we want everything on the internet to take care of itself. But if you're going to save on your next car rental, like I did on my recent trip to Boston, where I saved more than $200 on a week-long rental, it's worth your effort. Check them out, Autoslash.com. And, let me remind you, it's completely free. Autoslash does not charge, and they don't have a membership fee. You just sign up, you put your profile in, and it's free, and they'll save you money. It's a deal you can't pass up. Autoslash.com, AUTOSLASH, Autoslash.com. Thank them very much for their continued participation and support. All right, Brian Sparks, I'm so interested. I loved the name Positive Impact Golf. I thought the acronym PIG was pretty funny, but from I can see it from different perspectives. Positive impact meaning as an instructor, you're having an impact on your students, but also as the golfer, you're hitting the ball better. You're making better contact.
You've got it, because that was why I came up with this name, because I knew that I would be having more coaches, and I wanted golf coaches, golf teachers, and I might talk a little bit later about the difference between teaching and coaching. But one of our jobs is to have a positive impact on people, on their golf, and that can actually go further, and it can actually have a positive impact on their lives, because when you're not playing golf very well, it tends to reverberate around your whole existence. And somebody once said to me that golf isn't a question of life or death. It's far more important than that. So we do get a bit involved in this game, don't we?
A little bit.
Yeah. So yes, I wanted coaches should have a positive impact on the people they're coaching in every coaching session. But also you want golfers to improve the way they strike the golf ball, because there's nothing better than striking that ball nicely and seeing it fly. And the whole experience is just wonderful. It's what hooked me on the game the first day I played, and I still find it wonderful. And I think that we golf coaches, we should be sharing that and helping people to have the same pleasure.
I completely agree, and I'm not a golf coach, so I agree with you 100%. Now that you've rebranded from Positive Impact Golf to Easiest Swing. And so my question, again, we're back to the two meaning part. Are you saying that it's the easiest swing to replicate, or it's the easiest swing on your body?
Both.
Especially for seniors.
Both.
Oh, you are clever.
It's a simple movement, and we humans are quite good at simple movements, but we're not actually particularly good at complicated movements, unless you're highly talented or you're prepared to work at it all the hours that God gives. So something that is highly complex and needs a lot of work, that's going to be more difficult to recreate on a consistent basis. If it is simplified, and that's what the job of experts is, I believe, is that we should be simplifying it for everybody else. And so we should be careful about the language we use, and we should always take care that we are delivering something that's easy to understand, easy to do. And because it's physically easier, yes, it doesn't hurt the body. And also it's much easier to reproduce. So people's consistency level improves because they're using their whole body and they're more relaxed. Because relaxation is absolutely essential as far as I'm concerned. If a lot of golf teachers and coaches do believe that the golf swing is like a throwing movement, well, if you wanted to throw something a long way, in what state would you like your muscles to be? Short, tight, and stiff? No. Muscles work by being long, loose, and elastic. So if you can help people to be more relaxed, their golf swing improves without actually having to change their grips, change their stance, their posture, their swing planes. Just by relaxing, they actually start striking the ball better, and the whole thing becomes more repetitive, and usually people hit the ball a bit further.
Isn't that the truth? I recently have doing 700 episodes of this, and I'm still learning things that I take out to the course and like go, oh, that's what they've been talking about all along. And I've even commented to a couple of friends recently who like, I keep topping the ball. Oh, I lifted my head. I'm like, you know what? How about if you just lose some of the tension in your shoulders and your arms and take a swing, see how that feels. And they're like, oh. And is that...
And it's easier to... It's easier to get to the bottom of the ball when you're relaxed because your muscles are longer. So it's one of the simplest things in the world is to actually help golfers to relax. We have, I believe, quite clever little ways that we've discovered over the years to help them feel it, help them understand it. Unfortunately, golf teaching over the years, and again, I'm using the word teaching rather than coaching, advisedly, teachers tend to make modern teaching tends to make people more tense. You've got to keep your arm straight. You've got to get this coil in. So you're just building tension. And it's as if they're saying, well, you need tension because that gives you control and it gives you power. Well, I think it does the completely opposite. I think that you need to let go of control to gain control. So you have to let go of tension. So it feels like it's a bit loose. But the experience of hitting a golf ball in a relaxed state is, again, it's just wonderful. And you can do it and do it and do it, and you don't get tired. So I would like, if I may, because I've mentioned this a couple of times now, but the difference between teaching and coaching.
Yes, please, go ahead.
So I'll be succinct. Teaching is something you do at people. Coaching is something you do with people. So we as coaches, we ask questions, and those are our tools. We don't make statements. We don't tell people what to do. We work from where they are. We use language that they can understand, depending on what level of golf they have. So we work. They are the epicenter of our role. And I do believe that in times gone by, there was the teacher-pupil relationship. So people went to become a pupil of a teacher, and they were in awe of the teacher. The teacher had a higher status in life than they did in that particular domain. So the job of the pupil was to listen and to do what they were told. And the teacher's job was to tell you what you did wrong and how to put it right. Coaches don't operate like that. And if I could just talk to you about Timothy Galway of The Inner Game, and I'm sure he's well known in America. To me, he is one of the most important people in coaching, in golf coaching, and in coaching in its wider sense. And in my book, because I've met Tim and he allowed me to use this formula that he devised, and it's quite simple. It's P equals P minus I. And this is performance equals potential minus interference. So when you're looking at a golfer, rather than trying to work out what's wrong with his golf swing, you have to find out what's interfering with him, because he was hitting the ball well last week and he's now not hitting it well. So has he changed his technique? Usually not, but something else has crept in. And very often the major interferences, apart from maybe an argument you had with somebody, you maybe had a near accident in your car as you're going to the golf club, so you're now in a bit of a not a very relaxed state, so you're not in the perfect situation to play good golf. Sometimes it's what people are taught traditionally. For example, we call them the 3 deadly don'ts, and we say don't keep your left arm straight, don't keep your head still, and don't keep your left heel on the ground. Again, I'm talking from a right-handed golfer's perspective. Mm-hmm. So just looking at somebody in any domain and thinking, now they're not performing very well, I wonder why. Ask questions and find out what the interference is. And you'd be surprised how easy it is, once you've identified interference, how easy it is to take that interference away. And there's another great American golf coach called Fred Shoemaker. Again, I'm sure he's very well known in the States. And has been on Golf Smarter a couple times. We've talked about Fred Shoemaker many times. He's wonderful. A master. Yep. And in his book, and I've used this in my book as well, yep. His quote about golf. Michelangelo went to a block of marble and took away all that wasn't David. And that's what coaches do. You're looking to help somebody get rid of interferences, mm-hmm. And then that liberates them. So it's not so much what you're going to teach them, it's what you're going to help them to understand that they need to jettison and let go of. Mm-hmm. It's a totally different procedure to the standard one, which is this is what you're doing wrong and this is what you've got to do to fix it. Yep. Listen, we're going to take another quick time out. We'll be back for the conclusion of this conversation right after this. Brian, one of the things that I want to get into now is what makes the swing the easiest swing. What is it that you're doing? I've watched your video and I see just, again, we're talking lack of tension.
And I think that what I find so interesting about tension is that none of us have it on the driving range. And we're tension-free on the driving range. And then we get to the course.
I don't quite agree. I don't quite agree with that. But we are obviously, most of us are more tense on the golf course.
Yes.
And then we're even more tense on the golf course in a competition. And we would be particularly tense on the last hole with a good score going. So there are levels of tension, and tension is a multi-layered thing. It's a little bit like an onion. It's got lots and lots of layers. The driving range, it's easier to be relaxed. But if I walk down a line of people hitting golf balls at a driving range anywhere in the world, I will see so much tension because of the things they're trying to do, the awkward things they're trying to do in their golf swings. And so what we do is we have a long list of misconceptions, a list of things that actually create tension. And so my coaches are educated to see that, understand it, and then have ways to help people identify it, becoming aware of it. And Timothy Galway, Fred Shoemaker are very, very big on awareness. You can't do anything unless you're aware of it, or you can't change anything unless you're aware. So helping people to become aware of it. And again, the wonderful things that happen is you see people reduce tension and how the golf swing flows. There's far more rhythm in a golf swing that's tension-free. Very difficult to be rhythmical when you're tense, unless you're a top-line golfer, because they can do all sorts of things and still do it with rhythm and consistency. And so we also have 6 basics that would be identified in my book Positive Impact Golf, which again is available on Amazon, both as a paperback and as a Kindle version. And so there's the 3 deadly don'ts, which I mentioned earlier, but there's also 6 basics. In a golf swing, you need to turn, you need to shift your weight from foot to foot. You need to do it with good rhythm, good balance, good coordination within your own body, but also with the golf club. And you need to do it in a relaxed fashion. So those basics are very simple. And we also have something which has become rather well known, which is called La Danse du Golf. That's French. I went to work in 1987 in France and stayed there for 14 years. And I'd already devised this thing called, a little drill. And it's based on dancing. It's based on Fred Astaire, who had those great attributes. One of the most relaxed dancers I've ever seen.
Sure.
And I would be talking and showing the French golfers this drill. And they named it, La Danse du Golf. And it's still called La Danse du Golf. I talk about it in my book. You'll see it on my video. It's very, very simple. And it helps golfers to feel those 6 basics very, very easily. And they can do it and do it and do it. And they sort of resource themselves in it very easily. And it gives them a template to work from. And it is simplicity itself. It's so simple that it's very easy to underestimate it. So those are some of the techniques we use. There's a long, long list of things we actually do. But we will decide what is required for the person in front of us. So it's not as if you're not getting a method with easier swinging golf. What you're getting is a philosophy on making the golf swing easier around those basics that I've outlined. And we would help each individual to find their best golf swing. I think it's ridiculous that we've talked about methods. How can you apply the same method to every golfer? Just look at the tour with Jim Flicks and Bobby Watsons and Bubba Watsons, and now Matthew Wolff. These guys are sort of, they're the proof to me that you need to find your best golf swing, whatever that is. And the world of golf has got consumed with this idea of, well, we've got a method. And I'll be honest, after about 10 years of coaching, and I turned pro when I was 16, and I gave a lesson on my second day, and I had no training. I went out there and had to sort it out myself. I talk about that in my book. It was a bit of a disaster, but I learned over the years, and I'd worked it out. I had a method that I applied to everybody, and if you adopt this method, you will get better. And then slowly I learned different things, and I questioned what I was doing, and I still question what I'm doing all the time, because you can't take it for granted that you've got it solved. And so I had a method, but I realized that I was trying to apply it to everybody, whatever their age, whatever their body type was, whatever their level of flexibility. Whereas now you start with a blank sheet of paper with every golfer that you coach, and you get to know them, and you get to know what they're best at, and you allow them to deviate from a prescribed way of swinging a golf club or a method. Get them to find their best method. That's really what it's all about.
You've mentioned multiple times about your coaches. Do you have people who are teaching the easiest swing all over the world?
I have 9 licensed coaches. They operate in 7 different countries on 3 different continents. So I have people in France, in Denmark, in Holland, Mallorca, which is a Spanish island in the Mediterranean, and I now have a coach in Malaysia, and I have just one in America, in Los Angeles. And the thing that's rather surprising is that it would appear that golf pros aren't very interested in something that makes it easier for people to play golf. And
not surprised at all.
But that's pretty dreadful, isn't it? Isn't that our job, to make it easier for people and make
No,
it
your job is to get people
enjoyable?
to come back for another lesson.
Well, I've heard that.
I mean, you got to stay in business, don't you? You don't want people to leave.
Well, I could tell you a little story about that if we've got the time, because
let's do it.
Bobby Jones was a great influence on me.
Clearly.
The other big influence on me is a guy called Ernest Jones, no relation to Bobby Jones. But they were around at the same time in America. Ernest Jones is English. He's from Manchester. And he came back from the First World War having lost half of his left leg. And he was destined to be a tour player, but that obviously knocked his career back. And he emigrated to America. He became the golf pro at a ladies' golf club on Long Island. And he started having a huge amount of success with lady golfers. And this is all written on Wikipedia. Somebody well-known got to hear about this and had a word with the then incoming president of the US PGA and said, "You've got to meet this guy. He's just doing wonderful things." So they asked him to do a presentation to them. And eventually he found out that they weren't going to take on his coaching methods. And he said, "Why?" And they said, "Well, the members of the PGA won't give enough lessons." So you're absolutely dead right, I'm afraid. And he disproved their theories, because he ended up giving lessons in a dusty indoor net on the 6th floor of the Hoover building in Manhattan. And he gave 3,000 lessons a year. So he totally disproved that. There's a statistic from the British PGA, and this is going back about 30 years. They did some market research, and one of the statistics was dreadful. 84% of golfers in the UK never take golf lessons. So rather than looking at ourselves as golf teachers and golf pros, saying, well, why are so few people actually having lessons with us? What we try and do is we try and get the 16% who do have lessons to keep coming back week after week after week. And in Easier Swing, my coaches don't operate like that. We don't want to see people every week. We don't believe that you need that. We actually believe you need time between lessons to make sense of what you've learnt. The timing of learning is something that's set by the student, not by the teacher. So different people learn at different rates. So blindly saying, oh, you've got to have a lesson every week, that only fits a small percentage of the people you're coaching. So we always have a little conversation at the end of a lesson. When do you think it would be right to have your next lesson? And then we would add our advice. And then we decide, okay, it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Sometimes it might be, we'll come back in a couple of months. Go away, have your ups and downs, try it out, and then come back with something, and we can then move forward. In England, what tends to happen is that you come back for your lesson next week, and the pro says, "Oh, have you played a bit?" "No, I've been too busy at work." "Time to practice?" "No, sorry."
Yeah.
So what was the purpose in having another lesson when they actually haven't been out to work on it themselves? So
right. I was talking to someone the other day. I was talking to someone the other day who said that they're just starting to play, and they've taken a couple lessons. And I asked them, "Well, how much time did you practice what you learned in the first lesson before you took the second one?" And they looked at me like, "What?" And it's like, well, how do you know what to improve on from your first lesson if you haven't seen how it works for you?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And the coach needs feedback. How did it go?
Yeah, exactly.
And if you say, "Well, I haven't done anything,"
yep.
Yes.
Interesting.
You might gather that I'm not greatly enthused by the level of coaching in our business, and it's to the detriment of the game. I think that the way that people are taught is actually driving a lot of people away. If you take a beginner and you start talking to them about complex things and things that are physically difficult, well, a lot of those people are going to basically, they might have one or two lessons, they might even have bought a course, but the chances are they don't actually become a golfer because they haven't found the joy of a lovely, relaxed golf swing and nice shots. Yeah. That's what our job should be, help people to enjoy the game.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. That is wonderful. Well, Brian, you can be found at easiestswing.com. And also you can find the YouTube channel. Lots of ways to find what Brian's doing. And on his website, he has the teachers that work with him around the world listed there, and you can find that for yourself.
And if you've got any pros in America who are slightly interested in helping all golfers, but particularly seniors, we would love to hear from them. On my website, you will see that there's an area you can actually fill out a form saying you're interested, and then I would get back in touch with those people personally, tell them all about it, how you can be trained and how you can become licensed to work within the brand and the benefits. All my coaches all have improved their golf swings. They all play better. They have, some of them are older people as well, who have fallen back in love with the game, fallen back in love with coaching because they're having more success. And so it's a wonderful thing. If there's anybody out there who's at all interested, please get in touch.
Absolutely. And again, the book is Positive Impact Golf. You can find that on Amazon. And I want to thank Darren for, who's also a fan of our Golf Smarter Mulligans show. Darren, thanks so much for the referral. I can attest to when you write to Brian, he'll respond quickly. And that's how we got him on the show. Not every time that I get a suggestion do people respond as quickly as Brian and as positively. So thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been great to talk to you.
Well, thanks a lot, Fred. Anything that can help spread the word. And I'd also like to thank Darren. And please, Darren, you can always email me, brian@easiestswing.com, and I'd love to hear from you and get in touch.
So interesting. Hey, deadline is this Sunday, August 25, to enter for your chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card from our good friends at autoslash.com. Sign up now at golfsmarter.com and click on the Enter Now banner at the top of the homepage. Again, deadline for entry is midnight Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern, Sunday, August 25, 2019. Good luck. Hope you win. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, I do one of my first face-to-face interviews, and we do it with Dr. Rico Provasoli, a medical doctor who wrote a novel called Golf Between the Ears, based on a Sports Illustrated article that he once read. But the reason this conversation is being featured on Mulligans is because Dr. Rico specializes and gives lectures on somatic reprogramming. So we dig into the concept of muscle memory. Everyone seems to believe that if they hit enough balls in the range, that they can actually create muscle memory for a more consistent swing. Really? Muscles have memories? Are you sure? Well, is it science or is it a myth? You'll be surprised to hear what he has to say, and you can find it on episode 19 of Golf Smarter Mulligans, which is supported by Autoslash.com and TwoGuysWithGolfBalls.com. Get your free subscription for Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And once you subscribe for free, you'll get a brand new episode whenever it's published in your sleep, in the background. But it'll arrive on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, in your browser, whether you listen on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Golf Smarter is going to be there for you. Now, lately, a lot of people have been writing in with phenomenal suggestions on guests like today. And I really appreciate your help, because having to book new content each week just isn't possible without your help. So if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Golf Smarter, or on the Golf Smarter page on Facebook. Or, as most of you prefer, just click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.